First things first, can you tell me what the median annual pay for a full-time employee was in the last period, last year to April 2021?
Median annual pay, I think it's somewhere in the sort of upper 20,000 range is the average.
31,000.
Sorry?
31,000.
Sorry,
just about 285. Can you tell me what the median care worker wage was during the same period?
I know it's considerably lower. I can't tell you exactly what it is, I'm afraid.
£9 and 1 pence an hour.
Yeah.
And 77% of care workers are paid below the living wage foundation rate. What was your pay over the same period?
Actually higher.
What was it, Governor?
It's somewhere over 500,000. I can't tell you exactly what it was. I didn't carry that around in my head.
I think including pension, 575,000.
Yeah, including pension.
£538. I think without pension, 477,000. That's how many more times?
It's substantially more. It is substantially more. I know that.
So do you think that in these circumstances, perhaps your emphasis on telling workers that they had to show pay restraint was the most important thing to do when you went on the
Can I just come back to what I was saying a few minutes ago and explain the point? So first of all, I'm not saying people should not take pay rises. I did make the point, it was in the context of large pay rises.
A massive area miles off the coast of New York and New Jersey is the site of the biggest ever auction of its kind. Up for grabs, the right to harness the power of the wind. The sale of offshore wind development rights is the first under the Biden administration, which has made the expansion of offshore wind a cornerstone of the president's strategy to address global warming.
Wind is a great job creator. It's going to help us to tackle climate change.
Ed Potasnik is executive director of the New Jersey League of Conservation Voters. He sees enormous potential in an area covering nearly 500,000 acres of water.
The governor has a goal of 7,500 megawatts from offshore wind, and that's enough wind to power millions of homes. That's a big deal in a state with about 9 million people. And I'm assuming that our goals will continue to increase when we see the success of projects that are done responsibly to deliver offshore wind back on land for our homes and businesses to be powered. We think it's not just necessary, it's an integral part of our economy.
But not everyone is on board with the plan. Greg Kudnick is owner of a fishing charter boat business in New Jersey and worries about what thousands of wind turbines will do to the ocean habitat.
I mean, we're going to have turbines from Maine to North Carolina. What is it going to solve? And that's really what I would like to hear as a really quick, easy answer, or as a long-winded report. I'm open, I'm all ears. I'd love to read it and make me feel better. But for all this that's taking place and all this is put in jeopardy, to me, I don't see the net benefit.
Residents in coastal communities are also concerned. In January, a group of New Jersey residents sued the agency holding the auction, worried about the aesthetic impacts of the turbines visible from the beach and potential lost tourism. For now, though, the auction presses ahead, marking a major step forward for bringing more offshore wind power to the United States.
Lowe's raised its full-year profit forecast on Wednesday, betting the DIY crowd will continue to invest in their homes. The company told investors it's, quote, confident that home improvement demand will remain strong, though some worry that higher interest rates and higher prices for almost everything could keep shoppers away. Lowe's shares were up in midday trading, also helped by the expectation that this year's gross margins will be up slightly from 2021, a more optimistic projection than it gave in December when it forecast profit margins to be roughly flat. Margins remain front and center for investors this earnings season, as runaway inflation and labor costs threaten to chip away at corporate profits. Lowe's growth stands in contrast to Home Depot, which announced Tuesday that its margins fell in the same period, proof that Lowe's is closing the gap with its larger rival, some analysts say. Lowe's same-store sales also rose 5% in the quarter, beating estimates of 3.1%. Wall Street's major indexes ended sharply lower on Wednesday, extending their recent rout as Ukraine declared a state of emergency and the U.S. State Department said a Russian invasion of Ukraine remains potentially imminent. The Dow fell 1.4%, the S&P 500 shed 1.8%, while the Nasdaq closed down 2.6%, marking a tumble of more than 16% so far this year. Liz Miller is president of Summit Place Financial Advisors.
Investors are very confused right now. Just so recently, the entire focus here in the US was certainly on interest rates and then global interest rates from there. But of course, our attention right now is completely focused on Russia and Ukraine. And that has investors who were already a little uncertain now taking the opportunity to really start feeling spooked.
Earlier, the West unveiled more sanctions against Russia, and in what some market watchers saw as another sign of a possible Russian military onslaught, Moscow began evacuating its Kyiv embassy. Investors have also been on edge about possible aggressive tightening by the Federal Reserve to combat inflation. The Dow came within a hair's breadth of confirming it was in a correction on Wednesday, while the S&P dug deeper into correction territory. A correction is a drop of 10% or more from a record high. In company news, Lowe's shares ended slightly higher after it surprised some investors by raising its full-year sales and profit forecasts, offering an optimistic outlook for home improvement demand in the face of rising mortgage rates.
Tesla has hit another roadblock in its efforts to get its long-delayed German factory up and running. The court in Frankfurt confirmed Wednesday it will hear a complaint on March 4th filed by environmental groups about water supply to the facility. Activists fear the plant's effects on local drinking water, saying it would use as much as a 30,000-person town a year. They argue the Brandenburg Environmental Ministry did not carry out sufficient checks before granting a license for Tesla to operate. If the groups win, Tesla would have to find a new water supplier. Negotiations would have to start from scratch, with no guarantee of finding an answer. The court said a decision was expected on the day of the hearing. Tesla declined to comment on the case. CEO Elon Musk had hoped to have the plant running 6 months ago. It's key for Tesla's ambitions to conquer the European market, and Musk has repeatedly expressed irritation over what he sees as unnecessary German bureaucracy. Rival Volkswagen is currently the biggest electric vehicle seller in the region, well ahead of Tesla.